Hello guys! I hope you have the renderers ready and you are ready for the post-production lesson. We'll start from the first view, which is our main scene. Open the light mix render element in Photoshop and let's begin. First of all, let's unlock the layer and let's name it Render Original. Let's change the mode to 16 bits per channel to have all adjustments available. Don't merge. Now I use the CXR, but you can of course save it straight from the frame buffer. First, I will save the version without the street reflection layer, so we can leave the effect only on the canopy and car. I create a separate folder for this. Let's name it in the way that you know what is it. I will include the street reflections of phrase to know what this element is about. Okay, let's go back to Photoshop and let's drag and drop the newly saved pass. Awesome! Let's create a mask and let's paint in only the parts of the image we want to have from this version. So we can see we don't have this light visible on the left hand side. Okay, let's go back to the CXR or frame buffer and let's save another version. This time without the building layer, so we can paint out this noise here. And let's name it in a similar way as before, this time building off. And let's drag and drop it to Photoshop and use masking again. And the problem is fixed. Now, let's turn off these lights. And again, let's paint out the bar area. It looks much better now. Okay, now we can work on the asphalt area here. We can increase the value of the bar pendants to get more nice reflection of this on the asphalt material. Look how nice it looks. Let's save this version as well. Similar procedure as before. These are small details, but help the image a lot. Okay, let's paint in these reflections on the asphalt. And paint out from the parts we want to leave as they were. Awesome, great effect. Let's go back to the previous settings and let's increase the value of the traffic lights. So I want to increase the value, but I don't want to have such a red effect on the asphalt. Let's save this version as well. Drag and drop it to the Photoshop and let's highlight this effect of lights in the fog. Duplicate this layer, and on this layer, paint in just a little bit of the red reflections on the road so it looks realistic. It helps a lot in this corner. Let's go back to the previous settings here as well. And this time, let's turn off the reflections layer. Let's save the next version. And let's paint out these reflections here. It looks better. We have more variations on the facade. Next, let's work with masks and Z-depth. This alpha doesn't look correct, so I delete it. We can make it by ourselves. Let's select the sky from the wire color and let's add the black on the new layer. And now, let's fill the new layer in white. Let's merge two layers together. We have it here as well. Let's group the layers together and name it mask. We can also group the adjustments we did before and name it simply render. Now let's create a new layer. Select the sky and let's stamp the clouds a bit, as I think it distracts too much attention. Let's do a couple of adjustments here as well. Okay, looks way better in my opinion. Okay, now let's drag and drop the environment light select. And now, let's select the glass brick from the mask element. And let's use the mask. Let's use a mode. Let's try the soft light. And let's adjust the opacity to achieve the best effect. Okay, it works well, but we need something else as it doesn't look perfect. Let's duplicate it and let's try the screen mode this time. Let's adjust the opacity. Okay, let's group these two layers and let's call it facade. It looks way better. It makes the building stand out and gives more punch to the facade. I think we should paint out some areas though. Yes, it looks more natural and matches the sky better. We can add hue saturation and desaturate it a bit to match the sky even more. Let's add some curves as well. Maybe one more layer. And one more, but this time I will paint only a few areas. This way we create more depth in the image and adjust the facade better to the existing conditions. Look at before and after. What a difference! Nice! We can work on the group opacity a little bit. Okay, now let's work on the fog effect. To do this, let's drag and drop the volumetrics layer. The adequate V-Ray render element is called V-Ray Atmosphere. We can move it to the group and name it Fog. Let's use Z-Depth now. Select it from the channel and use it as a mask to the volumetrics element. I need to invert the mask. Now, let's copy the layer, delete the mask, and use screen mode. Add just a little bit of this effect. We can copy it one more time, use more of this effect and paint in only some areas. For sure, it will look nice here, around the car. Nice! We can get more and more moody images that focus a lot on the hotel area. Now I will add a vignette effect. I select all, choose the transform selection option and scale it down. Then I will use the feather option. You can use Shift plus F6 shortcut. Let's try these settings. No, too small. Let's try something bigger. Add curves and make the center of the image brighter. Copy the layer, invert the mask, Ctrl plus A, and now make the corners darker. I like to use this effect this way as it helps to focus the viewer's attention on the most important parts. Now I will work a bit on the sky. Select the grayish-blue color from the sky. Select the sky. Create a new layer and add the color to it. Let's select the darker tone of blue now as a second color and let's create a gradient from these two colors. Something like this is fine. And let's add just a little bit of this color. Thanks to this, the sky is not as distracting and it matches the fog effect better. Let's mask out the traffic lights though. I will make the top part darker using the curves. Let's mask it. We can also adjust the hue slightly. Let's see before and after. Cool, isn't it? Okay, now let's work on reflections. Let's add the adequate element. Let's use screen mode. I would decrease the opacity. Let's add the mask and add it in the places where it helps. I definitely add it to the facade. It will work nice in the puddles as well. We can add curves to it. Let's add it to the group called Reflections. And as we have the base done, we can test some LUTs and do a general color grading. Create a group CC and let's adjust the LUTs opacity. Let's add curves. Use the Z-depth as a mask. And let me show you one more thing. We can desaturate the image to see how everything works without color. You can notice that this image needs more contrast. Way better. But the sky could be more toned down. Invert the mask and adjust this layer. Turn off the hue saturation to see how it looks without colors. We need to adjust the opacity. And I would add one more, but this time the general curves layer. Okay, I would add a bit of vibrance to this image. Something like this works well. We can delete hue saturation as we don't need this anymore. Let's make some final tweaks. We can move the curves from the fog to the top. Let's adjust the strength of this effect. And now, some final touches. Let's add an overlay. Copy it and paste it to the main file. Awesome, isn't it? It adds a little bit of imperfection to the image. These light things make a huge difference. Let me show you our progress, step by step. That's it. We did an awesome job. See you in the next lesson.